You're on the second best channel about audio engineering according to FeedSpot in 2019 and 2020. Hi guys, this video for guitarists, mixers and even EDM music producers. Why some guitarists believe you should have scoop mids, and I'm gonna explain in what situations you need to boost them or cut them, and the most important why. We're gonna look at different situations scientifically today. We're gonna be counting harmonics, I'm gonna show you all these measurings. It will be really cool. The video on this channel are just light entertaining addition to one of the most serious audio production courses. The cool thing is you can attend one free trial class, real class, with my current students to see exactly how it works. Some of my students graduated from Berkeley University, SAE Institute, LA College of Music, and they believe my course is better. By the way, it's much more affordable. You can see some of their opinions right now on the screen. Also, I'm gonna put a link in the description as a first link. I asked my current students to write some reviews. They have put those reviews under that video. On this course we have even homework checking classes where I open your projects in real time and I listen to them in comparison to the best sounding songs of all time, and I show you how to make decisions, how to improve your mixes. It's 9 months in Skype, it's monthly payments, which is very easy to make. So you can contact me to get a free trial class to see exactly how it works. Okay, so this is Les Paul. It's a heavily distorted. 3-note chord. The same you can do, let's say, with keys, synthesized, and very heavily saturate those keys. And this is clean riff, the same. We're gonna take right now just one note of a clean guitar, which can be clean synthesizer, and we're gonna measure harmonic content of it. I'm gonna measure the same thing, but for the distorted note. With the perceived volume, they will be more or less similar. You first of all boost a lot of harmonics around mid frequencies and especially in upper mid. Gray color is distortion. So as you can see, gray color is much louder around frequencies like 800, 900, 1K, and especially they very loud over here. Around a range, as you can see underneath, like 2K, 3K, 4K. I'm not sure if you knew that before, but actually you can feel more tuning stability where your guitars have like more scooped mids. If you're a synthesizer guy, if you work with like a bit detuned synthesizers, it's still for you. Now forget about particular frequency, particular notes. I just gonna tell you just theoretically, like potentially what can happen. Imagine you have 100. It means second harmonic will be 200 Hz. Third harmonic will be 300 Hz. Next harmonic will be 400 Hz. Let's say fifth harmonic will be 500 Hz. And sixth harmonic will be 600 Hz. It's your first note. Let's say your second note. Again, I take right now random number. The main point, if our second note, for example, around 150 Hz, harmonic of this note will be 300 Hz. Next harmonic will be 450. And next harmonic will be 600. Your brain supposed to hear 600 and 600. That's why you feel those notes have perfect interval, like perfect chord. It's in tune, you enjoy proper kind of a harmony. Imagine now situation. You can press a bit more, a bit less. Sometimes you bend string just a bit, you know, it will be like micro pitching. Let's say if your note is D, 0 cents, potentially the best pitch. Your imperfection of how you play, just make it like plus 5 cents, plus 10 cents, you know, so it starts to be a bit above. It's in a perfect world how your two notes should be looking like. But in real life, you have, let's say, the same structure, 100, 200, 300, 400, 500, 600 for the first note. So the second note was coincidentally stretched and it became 160. From the first point of view, it seems like just a bit, who cares, but check it out. First of all, what you're gonna have, the second harmonic will be 320. Third harmonic will be 480. Fourth harmonic will be 640. Now look why it's a problem. Before, as you can see, 300 and 300 stayed at the same frequency, 300. Which means it gives you like perfectly pitched note. Harmonic and harmonic, so they come together, sounds clean. Now instead of 300, you have washed out sound just because of one harmonic. Shows you 300 and the other harmonic shows you 320. They give you like double information, you know, like blurred picture when you put your eyes perspective like to the center and you see like double things, you know, like 2 fingers, but you do it like this and you see 4 fingers, you know. 500 and 480. Before it was like clean, you know, 400, 450, 500. Now it's 400, then like emptiness, and suddenly 480 and 500, which is very close to each other. Harmonics give you additional feel that notes are out of tune. Is the picture of a clean chord. As you can see, harmonics look like this. Just because of guitar is clean, your upper harmonics is not as pronounced, as saturated like a distortion guitar. So in a busy mix, all these harmonics around like 800, 1K, 2K, 3K, they will not show you those details in a busy mix, and you maybe not gonna notice those harmonics because they are quieter. You can see that green color had harmonics relatively not as pronounced. Green color, harmonic over here, but then like some space, right? And another harmonic here, and then quiet harmonic, and then another harmonic, some space, another harmonic. So if there is some harmonics just going like this, you know, not like this, but like this, a bit like washed out of focus, you're not gonna notice it that much. That's why on a clean sound you easily can have a lot of mid frequencies, you can even push them, and you still don't see every harmonic because a lot of harmonics still very quiet, you simply don't notice them. However, if you have distortion guitar, now look at the gray color. This little thing, this little thing, this little thing, this little thing, you see many more harmonics in this case. And if your notes was like this, those harmonics, all those harmonics will be like this. They will not be like perfectly in tune, they start to go like this. Because of that, in distortion sound, you may prefer to minimize mid frequencies, because it allows you to hide these too exaggerated harmonics which can show imperfection of tuning. How cool it is, right? One more time, check it out. Distortion. New extra harmonics we hear. The same with synthesizers. If your synthesizer is very clean, made of 3 notes, you're gonna have less harmonics in between. If you have more additional saturation, you're gonna have more harmonics in between. That's why on a distortion, those mid frequencies can demonstrate imperfection of tuning easily, because you can hear those harmonics more pronounced in a song. That's why many artists like AC/DC, John Petrucci, some even amplifiers like Angle Powerball, which I have over there, settings which is by default for mid frequencies, and amplifiers like, let's say, Rectifier. All those amplifiers have scooped mids by default to handle this particular problem. Some people who play less overdriven music, you know, like overdrive, like blues rock or something like that, there is really not that much saturation, harmonics still relatively quiet. But when you really go all the way with super dirty sound, you may prefer actually to scoop some mids, not to show those dirtiness which always possibly present in a guitar and with all this micro pitching. Also, don't forget, if you keep mids on a guitar amplifier or pedal just at 12 o'clock, it doesn't mean it's really like a lot of mids, because designers of those pedals and amplifiers, they can have already scooped sound around 12 o'clock. Internal settings for mids can trick you a bit, because you may believe you boost mids. In reality, you have pretty no mids, and you'd make it just a bit more mids. It's not even middle ground, you know. It still can be pretty scooped, and you just like a bit less scooped sound. Again, I'm not talking about like, oh, I don't want any mids. Just try to make it just a bit less, and you may find it a bit kind of clearer. The same in mixing. It's for mixers. If you mix in somebody's music and their synthesizers, let's say, sound too dirty, some preset from some synthesizers, and there are actually a lot of little tiny detuning in many presets of modern synthesizers. So it may be just not as stable, not as tight and focused. You minimize a bit of mids and bam, it sounds really clean. Very important that you understand mirror frequency effect. I have specific video for it. I strongly recommend you to watch it. It's the very first link in description and in the first pinned comment. Okay, the next part. For example, rhythm guitar. And we have leading instrument. It can be vocal, it can be solo guitar, but in electronic music it's absolutely no difference. It still can be vocal, or it can be lead synthesizer. you actually may prefer boosting mids on lead instruments. For example, you have guitar amplifier which is already set up for the rhythm sound. You put your dirty foot on the pedal and you press it, and your dirty tube screamer, it will give you like extra push for mid frequencies. Works great for lead instruments like solo guitar. The question is why. So this is our chord. Clean chord looks like this. Imagine now you're gonna play lead synthesizer or solo guitar, but solo guitar will be clean sounding. And I'm gonna make a picture of this note with the orange color. Check it out. Orange peaks. Simply don't cut through the green sound. Green sound looks like more powerful, louder, occupying more frequencies. It has more details, more information. This is when we say guitar doesn't cut through the mix, or lead synthesizer doesn't cut through the mix. You can put guitar to the left, to the right, solo in the center, all this stuff. Of course, you're gonna have some clarity, but anyway, in the end of the day, it's not as noticeable based on that rhythm instrument. What you're gonna do, you take a note which is heavily distorted. Absolutely the same note, but with the distortion, and check it out what happens. Look at this screen. Don't you think it's craziness? Orange solo guitar is much more pronounced than rhythm instrument in the spectrum of upper mid-range at least. Solo guitar is dominating in some frequency ranges. However, if you have both saturated sounds, distorted rhythm guitar and distorted solo guitar, saturated synthesizer and saturated lead synthesizer, you're gonna have hard time to balance these two sounds together. What you do, you boost mid frequencies on the leading instrument. How cool is that? A rhythm instrument, let's say, and your soloing instrument also has this structure. There is pretty low chance that it will be very pronounced. Instead, what you do, you boost mid frequencies on a soloing instrument. So soloing instrument will be looking like this. You clearly hear soloing instrument. So this is why you may prefer to boost mids, especially on leading instruments. Also, don't forget, harmonic content of the chord potentially has much more saturation, more frequencies to occupy. It's not just like one note and bunch of harmonics, it's 3 notes with 3 times more harmonics potentially saturated. It means if you saturate solo guitar, you probably will need to saturate it at least more than rhythm guitar. That's why, let's say, Alice in Chains have this approach to guitar tone. You have just rhythm guitar settings on amplifier, and for the solo you need something extra which gives a bit extra saturation and a bit extra mid boost, which is tube screamer. That's it. This is exactly the reason why. The coolest thing about solo guitar, you don't have issues with tuning stability. That's why you can saturate more, and that's why you can boost mids. You play one note, and one note has just specific structure of harmonics. There is no 2 notes which can create 2 different harmonics. If you're an electronic musician, I offer you one simple experiment. Baby audio called Parallel Aggressor. It has saturation. Hit side of this plugin, which is adding additional saturation to your signal. Write some pattern with 3 note chords. Write something like lead. Both of them should be pretty clean. And put additional extra saturation to your signal. You notice how your lead instruments start to be much more pronounced. At the same time, if you put the same plugin on the rhythm instrument as well, and now you have both instruments with the same level of saturation, now again you have a problem. In this case, you can try one of 2 things. You can cut mids on the rhythm instrument, so you give more space for mid harmonics of a lead instrument, right? So it will be much clearer sounding mix. If you have just clean synthesizer and clean lead instrument, you can cut mids on rhythm instrument, and lead instrument will be more pronounced. Or opposite, you can leave your rhythm instrument untouched, but boost mid frequencies on a lead instrument. So it will be like a bit more pronounced above this one. A lot of people think that mixing is just like cutting wrong frequencies on instruments. It's totally not. Mixing is balancing. Balancing is where you really define who's the boss of the frequency range. It's pretty popular that you put distortion pedal or overdrive on the voice. It's exactly the reason why, because vocal is the same like solo guitar. I clearly showed you today that solo guitar likes distortion just because of it allows you to have more audioability of the solo guitar if it has more harmonics than, let's say, a rhythm guitar. The same people do with vocals. put something like distortion pedal on a vocal, and vocal will be cutting through the distorted guitar better. But the problem is, you not always prefer the tone of the vocal, which sounds like, from the old broken tube radio, Sometimes you want very clean and very straightforward, like pop sounding voice. In this case, you can clean up your rhythm guitar to make less harmonics on the rhythm guitar. Or the second way, you can make less mids on your rhythm guitar. You make a scoop and vocal has some space. However, if your rhythm guitar is pretty clean, you don't have too much volume of harmonics in mids, and it still can be sounding great with a very clean voice. Let's say Johnny Guy says, I don't like the idea to scoop mid frequencies on a rhythm guitar. The question is, how your lead guitar will be cutting through your rhythm instrument? You will need to increase gain on a lead guitar, which can make like totally dirty sound, no definition of the note, it will be overcompressed. Instead, you can boost, let's say, mids on a solo guitar. You're gonna have more boxier and nasal sound for your lead instrument. If you don't know what I mean, watch my video called Frequency Mirror Effect on my channel. Also, why it's bad, because when you have too much mid frequencies in a song, you work against Fletcher-Manson effect. Simply speaking, when you compare your mixes to the reference tracks, to the best songs of all time, they all will be like, and your song will be like. The last thing, what about volume? You can say, I don't care about mids, I just can simply make solo guitar just much louder. Vocal, which simply doesn't cut through your super heavy gain rhythm guitar and you have a lot of mids in the rhythm guitar and vocal simply sounds unclear. You just simply can make vocal like too loud, right? And just with a lot of volume, vocal of course will be audible even above very heavy guitar. But don't you think that vocal, which sounds like 2 times louder than it should be in a song, simply sounds out of mix? Like too crazy loud voice, and music somewhere on the background. It sounds like really awful. You really need to put a vocal or solo guitar in the mix. So it's not that easy just when you say, oh, I'm just gonna make it too loud. But too loud doesn't sound professional. You have to put vocal deeper in the mix to be working with the instruments, with the drums, and suddenly it's masked by your rhythm guitar, which is heavy, saturated, and has a lot of mid frequencies. Of course, I'm not saying cut all mids. I mean, find a proper amount of those mids, where it gives some space for the lead instruments. But again, what I can teach you in this very short video. My policy of my course is to put like 10% maximum of the power of the course to the videos. Hundreds and hundreds nuances which you can enjoy a lot on this course. Just get a free trial class. It's a real class and it's for free. Instead, for the same amount of money, you can buy, let's say, one like medium guitar, or like 3-4 plugins for mixing, or one like medium microphone. But those things don't guarantee any results. My course guarantees results. You're gonna know so much after these 9 months that probably you can get like after like 10 years of producing and all this stuff, If you're interested, check the free trial class. How to contact me, emails are on the screen.